Does the primary bath need to match the bedroom? No. Why? Hi everybody, I'm Jeremiah Brent, and I'm gonna answer some of the bedroom design questions that you've asked AD. I never sit at my desk like this, for the record. It feels very serious. How to create a well-designed kid's bedroom. Soundproof walls. No, I'm kidding. We love babies, we love kids. And I'm kind of always navigating this, not only with our own children, but the spaces that I design for clients, is creating a space that feels fun and alive and inspirational, timeless. I think especially with children's furniture, it seems to always feel kind of one note in one chapter. And I've always believed that you need to invest in the pieces that you bring in your home. In our daughter's room, there's a beautiful chest that we got. It's like 17th century. It wasn't expensive, but it was really beautiful. And I always imagined her having it someday in her first apartment. Have fun. There needs to be a balance between young and playful, but also things that can kind of grow with them as they mature. Bold colors, interesting patterns. You always have to incorporate a ton of storage, as any parent knows. Where can you hide all the Legos that you undoubtedly will accumulate? Balancing that off with really sophisticated wallpaper, a pretty wall color, playing around with sophisticated lighting, juxtaposed against some of the more fun patterns. Those are really interesting ways where you can make a space feel layered and timeless. Also reminding yourself that you don't have to go to a kid's store to source for kids' things. It's really important for your kids to have a voice in their space. I grew up with no money and my mother worked 3 jobs, but she still always included me in everything that we did, whether it was a pillow or a lamp. That sense of ownership also instills a sense of pride. And I think it's important that a child feels and sees themselves in their space. Before we had our daughter, pink was not a go-to color for me, which just sounds shocking. And I remember all she wanted was pink. And then all she wanted on top of pink was purple, which is my absolute worst nightmare at the time. And I was like, this is gonna look like a Pepto-Bismol commercial. This is gonna be so bad. But I was like, we're gonna go with it. And the truth is, it's so beautiful. It's so her. It's such a reminder that design is not prescriptive and you should have fun and take chances, lean into it, listen to them, trust them, and have fun. What is your favorite vintage element to incorporate into a bedroom design? My husband. Just kidding. He's gonna hate that one. He's not that old. We love him. My favorite vintage element has to be lighting. Lighting is such a really interesting way to add so much personality to any space. And the great news is that you can find vintage lighting anywhere. Housing Works in New York City, the Goodwill, First Dibs. You can go on Etsy. I highly suggest eBay France, which is like a secret that I'm sharing with everybody. The beautiful thing about lighting is it's been created for hundreds of years. So there's so many interesting designers and styles and ways that you can kind of share parts of your personality. So there's a lot of fun and freedom in that. Interesting fact, which nobody asked for. Even when I was in high school and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, obviously, I was obsessed with lamps. My mom was like, what's going on? And then I installed track lighting at one point. She should have known. Do you remember those like IKEA had like cable lighting? I had those and I thought it was so cool. And my mother let me install them on my own, which I still can't figure out. And somehow the house didn't go up in flames. Does the primary bath need to match the bedroom? No. Why? Especially the primary bath. Like, have some fun with it. Enjoy yourself. Every rule you've been taught is bullshit. The truth is, design is supposed to be personal at its core. That's it. How can you live beautifully? How can you live authentically? So no, they don't have to match. I seem really upset about that. I'm not. But again, I think it just largely depends on you and what you want. Our bedroom and our primary bathroom have nothing to do with each other. And that's great. How would you break up a large bedroom? Also, congrats on having a large bedroom. I have done this before where I actually put the bed in the center of the room, which sounds very divisive. By creating a large upholstered headboard with the bed in front of it, you've got the bedroom area. You can have behind it a seating area where you have the TV, and so the TV is not the center point of the bedroom. We have been conditioned to think that you need to push everything against the walls to make it feel big and expansive, when sometimes it's the complete opposite. Have some fun, take some chances, and float the bed in the center of the room, see what happens. Sconces or table lamps for the bedside? What do you prefer? Why have one when you can have both, I say? I wish I was kidding. I'm obsessed with lighting. I have lamps everywhere. I like when lighting is multi-tiered and layered in a space. Having a wall sconce and a table lamp, don't make me choose. So I say the more the merrier. Color drenching. What are your thoughts in the bedroom? I love it. I love color drenching. It's all about the freedom to explore, but being tethered to that color throughout, which is a really cool exercise. I think anything done in a monochromatic manner like that and just really throwing it in and piling it in feels really sophisticated. If I'm gonna color drench your space, the things that I reach for are mineral-based colors like terracottas, pale blues, olive colors. I do love a neutral, and I think it can be color drenched in its own way if it's done beautifully and feel really monochromatic and interesting. Color drenching makes a space inherently feel complete. The beautiful thing about color drenching is it's not an exact science. It's not like it has to be the one exact shade. It's the idea of sticking to a tone and a color and just playing around with that and having versatility. You can do it with pattern, you can do it with finishes, do it with paint, do it with fabric. Okay, next question. Best warm, fucking New York. I love it. Next question. Best warm off-white paint color. So I get a lot of shit for this because I love a neutral palette. So I have looked at every color of white you could possibly imagine. So my best educated opinion is Fossil by Benjamin Moore. It is the most beautiful warm white. And the beautiful thing about it is throughout the day, when the light changes, so does the tone of the color. It's really pretty. It's like the perfect bone, which sounds weird, but you know what I mean. For me with a bedroom, I mean, I'm not somebody who really believes in like one size fits all. I think your space should just be who you are and you should have fun and fuck every rule that you've been told, sorry. But for me with a bedroom, I love an eggshell. I think it adds a little glamour to any room in a really subtle way. What are some ways to deal with a bedroom that doesn't have much natural light? I would say lean into it. My husband and I, when we first met, we moved into a home that the primary bedroom did not have a ton of light. And I looked at Nate and I said, I want to paint the whole room black. And he was like, nobody has an all black room. That sounds like hell. And I was like, let's lean into the shadows. Let's lean into the moodiness. And we painted it out. Not only did the space actually feel brighter, but it felt a lot more expansive. If that's not your cup of tea, and you don't want to paint your room black, which I totally understand, play around with lighting, really tier out your lighting, wall sconces, lamps, a floor lamp in the corner, kind of create a triangle of lighting in this space that makes it feel like it has its own vibration. I think another really interesting thing that you can do with a dark space is play around with the composition of color. For instance, we had a room that we were working on with a client and I painted the ceiling all dark black, like a dark charcoal. And then I draped the rest of the room in a really beautiful cream linen. And so there was a contrast between the colors visually and it made it feel brighter, but we still leaned into the natural moodiness of the space. Next question, husband likes absurdly large TV. How do I make it chic in a bedroom? Get rid of it. No, I'm kidding. I don't personally love a television in a bedroom, but to each their own. But I think there's a lot of interesting ways that you can integrate the television in a pretty way, whether it's, investing in a really beautiful cabinet that you can put the TV and mount it inside of the cabinet. We've done that before in our house. You can go on sites like Etsy or eBay and find really beautiful vintage tapestries or even new tapestries. You go to a local seamstress and you attach a shade on a remote. So you actually can put the TV behind the tapestry and on a remote it lifts up. I actually have done it here in my office. It's funny, different phases of my life we've had them. When we had newborn children, we had a TV in our bedroom because it was the only hour we ever got alone. And when you sat in the bed, you sat there and just kind of decompress. So I think it's great. And I think it depends on the family. The Samsung frame TVs, I think they're beautiful. You can put art on them. I think it's interesting, but I'm definitely not like one of those gals who loves a TV with a fake fire going in it. My closet doesn't have a door. What's the best way to hide it? I actually went through this a lot when I was doing last season of Queer Eye, not because I wanted to, but because, fun fact, production does not want a door on any closets. And so I got very good at doing drapery on the closets, which I thought I was going to dislike immensely, but I really liked. It made the space feel a little bit more expansive. It gave a little bit of softness and romanticism to every room. So you can do fixed panels on a track that you can kind of move and shift. When you're picking a drape color, or when you're bringing anything into your space, it's all about thinking about the room holistically, drawing a blue that's in a pattern that's on the pillow, whether it's a paint color that's on the wall and you want everything to feel monochromatic and it's around the feeling. What are you trying to communicate in the space? Best sources with some affordable options for mural style wallpaper. Well, I'm all about affordable. The beauty of design right now is that it's been heavily democratized and you can live really beautifully without spending a ton of money, no matter what anybody tells you. I highly suggest going onto Etsy. It is such a treasure. You can find the most insane artisans, people doing the most beautiful work right around the corner from you. I've, met ceramicists that were doing work that I've worked with now. I've met people that paint murals that were doing paintings, and I said to them, would you ever do a mural? And they said yes, and then they began a whole mural business. And so I think there's a lot of great options. Companies like Tim Paper, which this is a shameless plug, but I have a line with. It's another really great resource, self-adhesive wallpaper that you can put it up, and when you get tired of it, take it down. I'm a big mural fan. In our bedroom, we did this beautiful countryside that reminded us of Portugal, and there was a personal tie to it. And Portugal is really important to our family. In our children's rooms, we've always had murals. The beautiful thing about murals as well is they inherently make a space, again, feel super expansive and give it a sense of movement always, which is nice visually. And the other beautiful thing about murals is that they give you a lot of freedom. You can bring a lot of different design styles into your space, juxtaposed against the murals. I do want to say that design is having a really interesting moment. The same moment that fashion had over a decade ago, where people are understanding that you can really tell your story through the way you live. And you don't have to spend a lot of money no matter what anybody says. And it's all about breaking every rule you've been taught, enjoying yourself, expressing yourself. And that's really exciting for me to be a part of. Thank you guys so much for all your questions. I had the best time answering them, and I'm wishing you the best luck in creating your space.